It's almost springtime. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We're so close and it's getting so warm outside. I can't wait. Oh, birds chirping, flowers blooming, no more leaves on the ground, just green and sunshine. It just makes me so happy. Yay! Greetings and salutations to all of you beautiful beings out there. And happy almost spring. I can't believe that we're almost there. And we're coming to warmer weather. We're coming to beautiful skies and longer nights and just warm clouds in the sky and overall warm weather. So I'm so excited. Yes, I can't wait. It's going to be a good time. So I thought I'd pretty it up just a little bit, and celebrate the coming of spring with a flower, just a little bit of a touch to commemorate our coming season. Speaking of seasons, I wanted to come and talk to you today because it's been a minute since I've done one of these videos where we just have a conversation, just you and me, have a discussion together about something that has been on my mind and I'm sure has been on your mind as well, and something that I know that some struggle with out there, if not a lot struggle with out there. So, it's something that I've always, in fact, struggled with in my life, and it's something that is very, very important to me because I've learned in the past few months alone, even, that this is paramount for our own improvement and our own character. Simply this: be kind to yourself. You may have heard that before. That may be a very common phrase to hear in, self development or personal improvement, or even spaces like mental health and other such similar spaces, but it is true. And what do I mean by being kind to yourself? Well, as many of you know, I like to incorporate a lot of quotes in my content, and one of my favorite quotes is by Seneca, Stoic leader, Stoic philosopher, way back in BC times. So this is way before any of us were even thought of. And he puts it simply like this: we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. So, what does that mean? That means we oftentimes overbuild things. We overdo our own thoughts. We overdo scenarios in our mind, and we create these new realities just by using our imagination to make things seem worse than they actually are. You've heard this, I'm sure you've heard the statistic before that 99% of what we worry about doesn't actually happen. Well, that's kind of a sort of a harken on this quote here. We do indeed overdo our thoughts. We overdo scenarios. We exaggerate. We overcompensate. We overplay. It just becomes more of a chore thinking about scenarios and thinking about the possibilities of something that could happen, or something that may be happening that may not be as bad as we think it is. So, what does that have to do with being kind to yourself? Well, I know from personal experience over many years that doing that to ourselves does not instill kindness, it does not instill positivity, and it certainly does not bring us any peace. A lot of kindness to ourselves often plays hand in hand with peace, inner peace, personal peace, peace with others, and that's, if we're being honest, something I think we all strive for. We want inner peace, we want inner conflict to be resolved, we want the battles that's up here to be fought and won, or just be over altogether. Just, let these battles end, you know? And I think what a lot of times we search for is mental clarity. That mental clarity, mental stability, and something that we can just be like, I'm okay with myself, I'm okay with everyone around me, and I am okay. I think that's what we want. What we truly want, it's not happiness, even though that's thrown around quite a bit as something to pursue. It's not success. It's not achieving any goals or any particular status. It's not, money. It's nothing. I don't think that's truly it. I think if we're being fully honest with ourselves, we just want to be okay. We want to be okay. And being okay seems like it comes with such a great cost. Well, why does it seem that way? One of the direct inspirations for this video topic in particular is a song by 10th Avenue North, and the title of it is literally Be Kind to Myself. And I'll link it in the description if you want to take a listen. It's a beautiful song, and it talks a lot about, some of the lyrics go, I try to hate myself, thinking that's how things will change. And I argue with myself, thinking that's how I will win. And the lyrics are just a beautiful picture of what an inner battle looks like, an interpersonal battle can look like. And we all have those battles, don't we? I think a lot of times what ends up happening when we try to be kind to ourselves is we have doubts. That is very real. And we have a lot of layering thoughts. And this is something that my therapist and I talk about sometimes is thoughts that layer upon themselves. And it's like, well, wait a second. What happened to that first thought? What about the thought after that? How come we're not addressing these thoughts as they come into our head? And I think it's just put simply that a lot of times when we're worried, when we're concerned, when we're stressed, when we're anxious, we can't feel that solid ground underneath of us. Our mind is going a million different directions at once. And it can be really hard to just get a channel on them and hold just one of those thoughts captive and ask ourselves, what is it about this thought that it came to my head randomly? Where did it come from? Why am I having it? I think a lot of it also has to do with an overdoing of self-awareness. Let me say that again. Sometimes we can be a little too self-aware. We can be a little too in tune with ourselves that we end up going in those million different directions at once, and we don't know where to set our ground a lot of the time. And self-awareness in itself is a positive thing. It's a very good thing, don't get me wrong. But there is such a thing as too self-aware. I'll give you a great example. One of my particular overdone self-awareness tics, if we want to call it a tic, or habits, is I have to make sure everything is in its place and everything is perfect. Specifically at my job. So I work in a job where there is a lot of sorting and a lot of order, uniformity, and there has to be a certain way that things are done. Well, I certainly have my ways of doing things, and they are not like others. And I don't judge others the way that they do things. And I don't like to judge others the way that they do things because I just don't understand their ways of doing things. Simple as that. But I cannot move on to the next task until I've completed that one task. I have to stay the course on that one task until it's done, and then I move on to the next one. And then the cycle repeats itself. It just goes on and on. But I think that's an example that I may be too self-aware in that moment of my job and how I do things. Like whenever I have a thought pattern that enters my mind or I feel like I'm out of control with my thoughts, I know myself to the point where I can picture the course that my thoughts go. And it's like, okay, well, probably going to feel sad later, probably going to feel some stress here in a minute. And then it goes on and on. And we try to improve ourselves through those bouts of self-awareness. But it can happen too much. We can be too in ourselves to the point where it starts driving us crazy. Like it begins to overlap into things like, oh my gosh, how do I look right now? How do I sound to this person? Am I funny enough? Do I look presentable when I'm talking to them? Am I doing my job right? Do I do enough with my projects or my creativity? Like, what are people going to think of the content that I produce or that thing that I draw or that suit that I make or What if I didn't make this performance review? What if I mess up the interview? And all kinds of different scenarios that happen in life. That right there can be too much self-awareness. And that then becomes unkind to ourselves because we start attacking ourselves at that point. Once we get to that point of surveillance, self-surveillance, then it becomes a battle in itself. And that's what we don't want. That's what we want to avoid. We're trying to solve and win or draw our battles. We're not trying to create more. And by being too self-aware, sometimes we create a whole new battle of how do I look or how am I going to do? Listen, you hearing this right now, you seeing this, friend, there is nothing wrong with you. You are good just the way you are. You're an imperfect creation, just like I am. But that doesn't mean that you are on the path to failure or destruction. That doesn't mean that you are born to be a giant flaw the entire time of your life. You are created with a purpose. You are made for more. Those elements that make you who you are, those are truly special. Like the way you talk. Sometimes we can be too judgmental on ourselves, the way that we talk. Sometimes we can be a little harsh on ourselves by the way that we hold eye contact with somebody. Maybe it's certain task performances at our workplace or creating something like this, like content. Maybe we should have done this different or done that, or this could have been better. And we've talked about this before. Maybe it could have been better. Of course it could have. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. You know, I talked about this on the podcast, which I do have a podcast. If you're not familiar, I will put a link in the description. I talked about this on the podcast. I believe it was a certain musician. I'm not going to say their name, but this musician was putting out an album some years ago, and they talked about the release date and how big of a deal it was going to be, and like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. It's going to come out March 31st. It's going to be, it's going to drop at midnight, this whole thing. And hyped up social media and outlets and like people, and like he had promoters like saying, this is the date, everybody, March 31st. And then about a week before the album was released, he delayed it another 3 days. And of course, the backlash was staggering because he hyped it up so much. People were upset, people were rightly so saddened, and they had to wait another 3 days. But his response when he talked to the press, when they asked him the question, how do you take the reaction, the backlash to delaying your album? What do you say to that? And his response was something truly beautiful. He looked back at the reporters and he said, does that mean my album is going to be any less special? Whoa. Just because it was late, does that lessen it? Does that make it any less beautiful or special than it already would have been if it had been released 3 days before that? No. Listen, you are like that album. You're the same way. Just because certain things won't work all the time, just because it won't work out the way that you want it to sometimes or expect that it will or that you planned, does not make you any less of a person. Maybe you don't like something about yourself. Maybe there is something about you that is really, really it's just every day. You wake up, you see it, and you go, I wish I wasn't like this. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can feature it. It is a gift that you have. It is something to present and be proud of. That part that makes you who you are, that you cannot change, that's what makes you beautiful, truly. So when we start thinking like that, we start to see our own potential, and we start to see our own beauty, and we start to realize, wow, this is how I am meant to be. This is how I am meant to go about in this world. This is how I am meant to present to this earth, to those who I love and those who I'm about to meet in the future. I want them to see me for who I am. I'm going to feature my flaws, and I'm going to make them a part of me. I actually heard this quote, another quote, I know, right? Not too long ago, about self-awareness and how it can be overbearing at times. When self-awareness becomes self-surveillance, then that is a step too far. That is a beautiful quote, and I love that. We don't want to be constantly surveilling ourselves, hoping we're getting it right, when in reality, we're doing more fine than we realize. You are doing much better than you think you are, and I can promise you that. There have been so many of you that I've talked to, and I have reached out to me, and I've gotten to meet through this community and in this fandom over the past 14 plus years. And I've seen people of all different walks and different struggles, and many that I can relate to. And I'm here to tell you, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to like yourself, and it's okay especially to be kind to yourself, because there is no one like you. And I said this in multiple videos and streams, and I know, but it's worth saying again. There is no one like you on this entire earth, universe, and cosmos. This is why you are special and unique. And this is why it's paramount to be kind to yourself and to love yourself, because everyone else is taken. So why try to be somebody else? And ask yourself, truly ask yourself the big question. If there are things in your life to improve, goals to be met, then by all means go for them. But ask, are you doing it for you, or are you doing it because somebody else wants you to? What are you trying to change in your life? To be better, to be more successful, to reach a goal, whatever the case. Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for somebody else? How can you show kindness to yourself, that you are willing to do whatever it takes to be okay and to accept you for who you are, for you, not for anybody else, but for you? So that's a message that I wanted to give to you that's been on my heart lately. And I'm so glad that I got it out here, because in many ways, a lot of you don't realize, but in many ways, this is in fact a therapy for me. Yeah, I may be in therapy currently, which is going really well, by the way. Shout out to my therapist, but yeah, this is something that I like to do and that I find true comfort and peace in, is coming on here and talking with you one-on-one and just telling you what's on my heart and what's on my mind, because odds are there are some of you out there, if not many, who are asking yourself the same questions and struggling with the same exact things that I am. I'm no stranger to struggle, not by any means. I'm with you right there. I'm no better at handling it. I'm no better at, I still struggle with day to day. It's a daily battle of trying to be better, trying to be okay, and trying to be more glad and have joy and inner peace. And it is a battle and a struggle. I'm sure you know very well. But I can tell you, it is a battle and a struggle that is worth it. I really hope you got something out of this. And I really hope that those of you out there who are struggling and who are looking for answers, just remember, kindness to yourself is right there. All it takes is that one small decision to be kinder to yourself, to be nicer to yourself. And eventually, acceptance will come, and joy will fill your life, and inner peace will flood your system like you've never felt before. Forget happiness, find a joy. It's been a joy being here with you, as always. I want to give a beautiful, wonderful, giant, fluffy shout out to the channel Souls Improvement. I will link their channel in the description. Big thanks to them for inspiring this video to be made. A lot of what they said in their videos, I ended up echoing in this video, but They are wonderful for self improvement and finding different ways to tackle your inner battles through the lens of Dark Souls. So, any of you gamers out there, if you like Dark Souls, they do a wonderful job at explaining self improvement and personal struggles through the lens of Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and Bloodborne. So, if you would, please go check out their channel. Link in the description. Give them some love, give them a sub, a like. Let them know that Kitty Fox sent you, and just, yeah, send some beauty their way. I'm sure they would love that. Always remember the Latin phrase, Sic Parvis Magna, greatness from small beginnings. Remember, you started somewhere small, and you're on your way to greater things. Whether you find it or whether it finds you along your journey, don't forget those who brought you up and those who continue to stand by you today. Let them know that you love them, and let them know that you care about them, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. And as said before, remember to be you, be yourself. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you can and can't be or who you can and can't be. That is for you to decide, because there's never been anyone like you in the past. There is no one like you right now, and there will never be anyone like you in the future. So only you can do the things the way that you can, the way you do best. And be kind to yourself. I love you all. Thank you again for your support and your love. I would not be here if it wasn't for you. And it is a gift that I get to do this every day. So thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Love you. Bye-bye.